Welcome back to Just an Everyday Fan. There's been a lot of movement around the WNBA as of recently. The league is making a lot of changes. The dates are approaching. So we have two important dates, July 13th and August 7th. For all of these, July 13th is the time that teams are making their trades and their waivers. August 17th is they have to have everyone in place because it's, from what I can determine, unprotected contracts are now protected after that date. So they want to have all their rosters nailed down that they want to have. So you have teams that are shopping players, so let's talk about some of the movement. And I'm just an everyday fan. I knew nothing about basketball. I came to this last year, mid-season, because of Caitlin Clark. I rediscovered basketball because of Caitlin Clark, and I stayed just for the love of the game and all the players involved. And I didn't know anything technically about basketball. I didn't know how the front office ran, how the contracts run. Heck, I didn't even know what some of the fouls meant. Like, I had to look fouls up. Like, what's a carry foul? I knew what a travel was. I knew what a foul was. I knew what a flagrant was, but I didn't know the punishment for those, like what another team got. So this has been a learning experience. So every time I come across something that I don't know what it is, I look it up because I want to know. I want to know how and my mind is just very analytical, and it goes to that business aspect, right? I love the playing, but I also like kind of what the front offices do, back offices, the coaches. And so I'm learning all this new stuff. So come learn with me. This is an incredible amount of stuff that I'm taking in. What about the movement? We have a lot of movement happening right now. We have a week. Everyone's jockeying. They're waiving people. So first of all, we have the players coming back from Euro. So all of those suspended contracts that the teams were allowed to have to bring on hardships, that's no longer the case. The Euro's over, they're coming back, and those teams have to, number one, they either have to recognize their contract coming back or waive them. Number two, we have all those hardships that were gained just weeks ago because we had all of these teams that had, almost a quarter of their team was IR or missing, right? So on the injured reserve, and everyone was desperate because they didn't have a full round, a full bench to come in. So players weren't getting rest periods. And it was difficult. It was hard. The players are tired. They're beaten up. Then we had a lot of players go out just on injuries, and some of them are out for the season. So players are coming back from Euro. The hardship players are having to be released. Now you have players that are going up for trades. So the teams are shopping trades like you would shop for something on Facebook Marketplace, right? Or a trade site where, okay, I've got this and I want this, so whoever, let's make a deal kind of thing. And then you have waivers where they're not going to get any trades, kind of like Dwana Bonner. They shopped her, didn't get anything that was good for the team or her, or the other teams that were looking at her. And so they couldn't keep her because now you have this toxic environment that she had created, not wanting to support the team. They couldn't bring her back. they had to waver. They had to let her go. And the sooner they let her go, the more cap they were going to save. So that's a no-brainer on a business aspect. Then you have protected and unprotected contracts. I didn't really know what this meant. So I can guess a protected contract maybe means that they can't waive you through the season, or they can't trade you off for any reason. So you have that solidified contract that's saying, I'm going to go to this city and I'm going to play for a year. I'm going to go to this city, I'm going to play for 2 years, 3 years, whatever it might be. It's a little stronger than an unprotected contract. An unprotected contract says, hey, come on down and play until we don't need you anymore, then we're going to let you go. We can't tell you when that's going to be. Could be a week, could be a year, could be 3 years. It's all fascinating to me. And then you have all this movement going on. And now you have players, because the CBA is starting up, the collective bargaining for the players and for the owners. So it's a union thing. They're going to the table, and just like a major airline would, for their pilots, would have to go to the table and try to negotiate a deal for the next contract. This is how much we're going to pay you. This is what the benefits are going to be. This is what we're going to give you as far as sick time, overtime. Here are the perks. Here are the bennies. And so everyone has to come to an agreement. Here's what the pay increase is going to be. You have all this stuff going on. Well, I saw a interview with Sobley, who said it was basically a slap in the face for the players. So the owners aren't giving anything to the players that are currently there. It seems like the owners are they're wanting to jump on the bandwagon of, let's open a team in every city that's viable. Let's put the money in there instead of giving it to the players, instead of paying the players what they're worth. I mean, when you think about it, I'm not sure, I know that a veteran player, I think they have a min that they come in at like 78,000 and some change. I think the rookie players are much lower than that. It could be anywhere from 60 to, or maybe in the 50s, maybe 56 to maybe 76,000, something like that, depending on, I'm not sure. I don't know the pricing tiers as far as bringing someone in and what they would take and what they wouldn't take, and what the length of the contract is. I still have to learn that. But let's just say, some of these players were brought in for $60,000, $68,000. You're talking 144 games. You're talking practices. Okay, think about this. Say it's just 68,000, and that may or may not be a good number for a rookie or a lower player. I think some are brought on in the 50s. That's roughly $32 an hour, depending on what city you live in. That's not going to go too far. New York, LA, sometimes even the metro cities like Atlanta or Dallas, Phoenix certainly is a higher cost of living. So you have these players that are basically getting $32 an hour, but it's not. They're on salary, so they're not getting overtime. So all of the media things they need to do, all of the outside activities that they need to do, and that they need to rep the team for future girls to come up in basketball, and some of the organizations that they back. They have to do all that on their time off. It's unpaid. Yes, you have some players that come in, and really the salary, like Caitlin Clark, their salary might be $78,000, and you're thinking, wow, that's a really low salary. But it's really not, because Caitlin Clark has sponsorships. She has deals. She has made millions. So her little $78,000 salary is like a part-time job, really, to her sponsorships. Her sponsors, and we have, commercials, we have shoe apparel, we have different things, right? So that's where the money is kind of made. And the bigger players have the bigger sponsorships. The shoe deals, the agreements, what they're going to pay them. They do photo shoots, and they get their money. So Caitlin Clark's not hurting. Asia Wilson's not hurting. Some of your top players in the league, they're just not hurting. It's the lower players that are coming in, and you have players that come in and they play, and they play hard, and they sacrifice their bodies every day. Next time and I haven't been on a basketball court, and I'm ashamed to admit, probably 40 years. Throw yourself down on the court. Just go for a layup and throw yourself down on the court. Go for a layup and just hit the floor and roll and hit the court. Do that 5 or 6 times. And I bet your body's going to feel it. So every time we see Colson going up for a layup and she hits the floor, or Sophie going in, or Caitlin, or whoever it might be, and they're hitting the floor because of a foul, because of whatever it might be, a forward motion that they can't control, that's got to hurt at the end of the night. They're probably going from ice to heat, ice to heat, ice to heat. Because don't you know, the body takes a beating. So these women work hard for what they get. I have no doubt about that. So these owners are like, they're seeing the Caitlin effect, right? Like the butterfly effect. A butterfly can flap its wings across the world and a tsunami hits. It's crazy, but it's the Caitlin effect. And we saw this come on last year for the first time. After the All-Star game, when she started just putting up three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer, she just became this explosive, reckoning, and everyone wanted a piece of it. Everyone wanted a part of it. So the deals were coming in, and the sponsorships and everything. But look at the everyday player. Look at all the others that are bench players, if you will, that might be the starting lower players. Maybe someone's injured, so someone else is starting. Yes, it's great to be on the starting lineup, and it's a feather in any rookie's cap. However, like Citron, it's hard because they're not getting paid a very high rate of salary. And then you have their contracts are typically longer than most. So I know Caitlin came in on a 3-year rookie contract. I don't know if that's standard or not. Another thing I need to find out. But let's just say it's a standard 3-year. If rookies come in, they get signed on the team for 3 years. So that team has 3 years to either develop that player or cut her. Okay? The owners have seen the Caitlin effect. They want a piece of it. So instead of putting the money into the players and the teams that are already there and giving them a cost of living raise, they're going out and they're opening and they're buying more teams, more expansion teams. So we had the Valkyries this year. We have 2 next year. And the Valkyries opened up a lot of spots. We had a lot of people missing and holes to fill because anytime an expansion team comes on, again, my understanding is every team has to give up a certain amount of players to that new team. We have 2 coming on next year. We have Portland and Toronto. So again, the teams are going to have to give up players. And the only ones they can protect, I believe, are players 1 through 6. They can pick 6 players out of the 12. So half of the team out of the 12, they can say, you're not touching this player. We're not releasing this player. She's not even an option. But 7 through 12 is an option on every single team. I'm not sure how next year's going to roll with 2 opening up. I do not know. So the players are kind of upset, and I can understand why they would be. You're watering down the pool. Number one, yes, we have a lot of players and a lot of good players, but teams are already struggling. They have, with the injuries and all the hardships and everyone going to Euro and all the other leagues, it's very difficult for teams to keep this symbiotic flow of the relationship within the season. It's hard, so you have struggles. Those struggles will no doubt affect. Look at all the injured reserve. Look at all the teams that lost some of their best players to injuries. It impacts a team. It impacts a team hard. You think you have a winning team until 2 of your best players are benched because of injured reserve and they're no longer there, or 3. So there's that. And now we have the owners versus the players, and it's going to do nothing but heat up toward the end of the season. The owners are seeing the Caitlin effect. They're seeing the money they could be making. Because when they put it into the players, they're not really making money. It's kind of like labor. What did all the corporations do in America? They went and offshored all of the jobs because they could pay less money. Well, they're seeing they can pay less money, and these players are taking it to have the ability to play because they've worked their entire lives, and there's only one WNBA. Yes, they can go to other countries. They can go to Turkey. They can go to Euro. They can go to other countries and play. But is that really what American players want to do? No. They want to stay here. They want to be on a team. They want to play. They want to play ball. So I can see both sides of the argument, most definitely. I can see the business side saying, yeah, but some of them already make this much money and we're not going to raise the cap for the teams. We're not going to give them 2 extra players, so that would bring a roster to 14 instead of 12 to kind of compensate for next season for those injuries that might occur. We're not going to do that. We think we're just going to leave it as is, and we're going to expand into other cities. So it's parking, it's beverage sales, it's food sales, it's merchandise sales. It's ticket sales. It's all of these things. And I don't know much about Cleveland or Detroit, but I know that they have had difficulty in those cities because Detroit was an auto manufacturing, and it was nearly a ghost town because all the auto industry moved out. And that was the big draw. Well, if you go into a city that has been decimated and their economy is not strong, you can open the best team in the world and no one's going to come to see you because no one, in my thought process, can afford to buy those tickets. They're not going to buy the season tickets. It's not going to be automatic sales coming in unless you have people driving 5 hours away that want to come see the team play. So I'm not certain that those would have been my picks. I'm not familiar with Detroit. I'm not familiar with Cleveland. I stay in my little southern radius, so I don't know. But that would just be kind of my understanding. And I think that the owners are just casting a wider net. The Caitlin Clark effect has happened. They want a bigger net to skim all that money that's on the top of the water floating. So let's open more franchises. Let's open more expansion teams. Let's get that money that's floating on the top, and let's not care about the players. Let's not care about the teams. Let's have them struggle. It makes it fun. I don't know. It's going to be hard to build teams like the Liberty and the Lynx. And it's going to be hard to keep players to where you have that team, that structured team. There's no coming, there's no going. It's just the structured same team because they got us to the championship last year, and that's what worked, and we're going to keep it exactly the same. When you have expansion teams coming in, that's really not the case because every team has to give players up. And they have to go and get players from either other countries or convince maybe someone in college to go pro early. There were tendencies for players to sit out and take another year before they went pro. And I don't think we're going to see that in the upcoming years because there's going to be so much turmoil and so much movement. I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for me to see how everyone handles it. I mean, if you just look at this year and you see the movement that's going on right now, I think the movement to me seems unprecedented. But I wasn't here for last year. Around this time, I don't know how everything went down. I don't know if it's the same this year as it was last year. I'm not sure. So this is kind of my first full year of seeing all this, and I'm getting to know all this. It's all fascinating. It should be interesting to see who lands where. And the big question is Dwana Bonner going to have a team? None of us know. Until next time.